Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Let's go, man.
It's going well. So people aren't getting to hear from the two of us as much with the new format of the podcast, but we have been getting some good feedback about the new format. So
Yeah, I think
it,
I just got moved down the bench or something.
yeah, it's just like scoot on down.
Yeah.
But hey,
Nobody wants
you're
to hear about my injuries.
still here. Yeah, people were like,
Yeah.
"Dear God, enough with the injuries." But speaking of,
Yeah.
let's talk about your injuries. How are they doing? How are you doing?
Training's good. My shoulder, I still need to get looked at again. It never really fully went away, pain wise, but everything else is good. Really enjoying the hard to kill cycle. I really like the balance between the first and second cycles. This is what's basically what we're doing this one, where we
Yeah.
mashed them together. And I like it a lot because although the IWT can be fun, definitely got burnt out. I felt like I was just
It
like, oh
takes
my
its
god, this
toll.
is
Yeah.
another day of this. So at least spreading it out like every other week, I feel like I can recharge and then like really focus on strength during the body geo week. So I really like that. I like the predictability because of that. And Liz and I are both on creatine, and maybe that's just
Mm.
doubling, making everything even better. She's liking it. I'm liking it. So that's the main things
Liking the
for
cycle or
training
liking
for
the
me.
creatine?
Both, man.
Just yeah.
She sent me a text one day saying that like she was whatever weight she lifted, just felt a lot easier after a couple of weeks, which could be a little placebo ish. I feel like I'm recovering a little bit better, and I felt hungrier for sure for the first couple of weeks, but I'm really liking it.
Yeah,
So I think I'm going to
creatine's
be on it
awesome.
for a couple of months, probably more than a cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I go on and off. I cycle on and off creatine. I've started to take it a little bit more because I started to like read a little bit more research about the cognitive benefits, and so I'm not in like a big lifting phase currently, so I just was like, whatever. Like I kind of what came off of it. Then I started trying to take it for the cognitive benefits. I haven't really noticed anything different in that regard. Um, so yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with creatine. I go off and on.
Yeah, usually probably only do it once a year, but I think we're gonna do this one for at least for the rest of the year, maybe even into the next year.
Yeah, so with IWT, if anyone else is like, interval weight training, I definitely think that the dosing that we're doing with right now is probably more appropriate for 12 weeks in length. It is hard to do IWT once or more than once a week, over and over again. So I appreciate that feedback, and that's what I've been hearing from some of the other athletes as well. For me, my current programming, and this is kind of almost the uh, routine I've been keeping this year at least, which I don't typically do, is I'm like staying ahead of what I plan to program. Like I'm doing some experimental stuff. Um, and I kind of want to talk about it real quick because I've really been enjoying it. And without getting into all the nitty gritty details of like body geometry, but I feel like I talk about body geometry all the damn time now when it comes to the podcast or our programming. And if you are new here, because we have gotten a lot of new listeners, I think, I don't know, maybe the new format or whatever, a couple people like piling in. Um, Body geometry is just a programming methodology we have, and it does its best. I created it. It does its best to make sure you're really well rounded in your strength training. That we're getting push, pull, we're getting all the different planes of movements, all the different types of muscle contractions, and it's something I've been refining for years. So anyway, when it's we have these 3 different days to kind of balance someone out, and how we did it, just to like give an easy overarching idea. If you could imagine like having a push day, a pull day, and then like a balance day or whatever, lower body day, something like that. That's kind of how it had been programmed previously. But then so if you think about it, it's like superset, 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 sometimes a fourth superset, and say that's all lower body stuff. That's how we had been tackling body geometry. And then the next day might be, yeah, like upper body push with all these other kind of things in there, push and pull, whatever. I've flipped it sideways to where you're doing everything every single day. So still 3 days a week, but it's like you start off with a little bit of lower body, then you go to push pull, then you go to push, then you go to pull. So it's a full body more full body, which I've recorded a podcast on. It'll come out. I don't think it's come out yet. I think it's next week. But the whole point being, I'm trying more of these full body split routines with body geometry, and that's what I've been experimenting with, and I've really been enjoying that. So it's body geometry, but every single day you're doing full body every single day. And the research is backing up a lot of this like full body approach to programming strength and hypertrophy. So anyway, that's what I've been experimenting with for last couple weeks now, and honestly, I've been loving it, enjoying it a whole lot.
Would you classify that as getting into the realm of like microdosing?
Microdosing what?
Like the microdosing the strength on those movements, because I know we've gone over a study. I forgot the specifics of it, but I know we've covered microdosing in the past of just like and all along the lines of minimum effective dose, but you're doing that 2 or 3 times during the same week.
Yeah, and that's what the all the research is pointing. And like I said, if anybody wants to dive deeper on this topic, I do have a podcast coming out about it. But all the research is pointing towards almost in every capacity, like like hitting your macros or hitting your step goal or even training hypertrophy. Um, what I think the scientific field, or specifically, food nutrition science, exercise science, is finding is that it's way more important to average things out over like a 7-day time period than to worry about one day. And that's where a lot of people get like hung up, is like they miss one day, they have a problem one day. And so with macros, it's the same way. Like, so if you're counting your macros, calories, all those kind of things, protein, it goes in both ways. Like if you're great Monday through Friday and then you suck Saturday and Sunday, you just have a ton of calories, you would blow it out. The average over those 7 days, you didn't hit your macros. That's why you're not gaining weight. That's why you're not gaining muscle, or that's not why you're losing weight. And it's the same with steps. Like if you're like, I want to hit 10,000 steps a day, cool. But if you, um, let's say you suck during the week and you only get 3,000 steps per day, Monday through Friday, and then you get 15,000 steps per day, Saturday and Sunday, it's like, is that okay? Does it average out? It doesn't average out to 10,000, but like it's more important to hit the average. So like bringing up your averages per week, trying to not make up for it as much on the weekend, or in reverse. If it's like I'm pretty close Monday through Friday, I can do a lot on Saturday. That's what's going to matter more. And then it's the same with strength training, is what we're finding out. It's like if if you want your legs to be strong or you want muscles to grow in your legs, it doesn't really matter what you did on Monday's leg day. It matters that you got 5 to 7 sets with this many reps, this much time under tension over the course of the 7-day time period, as opposed to just what you did in one day. So anyway, that's kind of the overarching theory that I see applying to all realms of training, and that's kind of why I'm going more in this direction of like, let's experiment more with this full body. And I like it a lot because, and I talk about this in the podcast that's coming up, is like, if I do miss a day or I got busy, let's just say I couldn't hit a strength day, and there are 3 strength days. Well, cool. If I miss one, I still got 2 days where I hit full body. You know, as opposed to if I miss a strength day and that was my leg day. Damn it, I didn't do leg day this week at all. There's no volume on legs,
Hmm.
period. And I don't really like that. And we already do some of this in like Garage Gym Athlete. Like some people like specific to legs, they're like every day's leg day at Garage Gym Athlete. Yeah, because we do add a lot of these things in. So it's not completely like new programming methodology for us, but I'm just getting a little bit more like systematic about it.
Yeah, and that's specifically talking about strength, right? Not so much conditioning.
Yeah, not as much conditioning because like I haven't seen I haven't seen research saying that, like, say you wanted to run 20 miles a week or 30 miles a week. I don't think that you can just do 20 miles on a Saturday and be like, make up for it. Like there are different like ways you have to hit it. But that's something I'm interested in. Going back to like your microdosing comment, is like, what if you just added 1 mile run or 2 mile run every day to your morning? And like that's immediately, let's say it's 2 miles a day. You have, and you do that 7 days a week, that's 14 miles. And it's like, okay, well, if I run just one other day as running, like a actual big running day, 6 miles, 8 miles, whatever, is that enough? That's what I want to find out about endurance. But unfortunately, my hunch on that one is no. Endurance can't be cheated. It can't be like endurance. Just, it is what it is. You have to put in the work and the time.
and consistency. Because if you take too many days off of it, then it just feels terrible getting back to it.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, speaking of some bit of endurance, something that I saw recently that I wanted to bring up is the new Rogue Rower. Have you seen anything on it? Watched any
I have
videos on
seen
it?
it. I haven't watched any videos on it yet. I just kind of watched the announcement.
Coops?
Didn't they announce
Oh,
something else too? Concept 2?
Concept 2 did. So Rogue came out with the rower, and like within a week, Concept 2 announced, I guess, their StrengthErg, which looks kind of very interesting. I wonder how it's going to go. It's like $1,500 though. Not saying it's on my radar at all, but my main so with the strength erg for Concept 2. Concept 2 is known for their rower, and then they have their bike erg and their ski erg, and all of it is run by basically the same fan. They just put the
Right.
fan in a different position with a different lever mechanism. And the strength erg looks exactly the same, although I'm hoping there's more resistance because those other ones are cardio and you're doing, 20, 25, 30 pulls or a minute. But strength, dude, that's not really working strength if you're doing that much. So I'm hoping the resistance is a bit higher, but it is engineered so that you can do it like a leg press, or you can do it. There's a bar, so you can do it in a pull, like a row. They also have it so that you can push, and it's not like you're pushing into the fan, which is kind of cool. So there's different exercises. I wonder how you switch it from a push to a pull on the machine, and then the how the resistance stacks up because you really have to crank the resistance. I feel like to get much of any sort of strength.
Yeah, I'm just checking it out now. The Concept 2 Strengther. What an interesting concept. Um, well, to hit on the Rogue announce, releasing a rower, I think that's cool, and I'm sure they did a great job. Like, Rogue doesn't make anything that's like crappy, so I know it's probably quality. But at the same time, Concept 2 is quality. It's like that's what they're known for. Is
Yeah,
like they started with this rower. So I'm not, even when I heard about it, I wasn't real big on like, oh cool, like maybe I'll check it out cuz like I've had the same rower since like 2012 and I've had zero problems with it that entire time, you know?
yeah.
And to be honest, I don't even clean it how you're supposed to or like do any things other than like occasionally I might remember to clean the chain. So I'm sure the Rogue thing is awesome. Have you looked into it more?
Yeah, I watched the Coops video on Garage Gym Reviews. It looks legit. It I think it takes a lot of basically they Rogue said, okay, we have the Concept 2 that we sell a ton of. Let's just make it a little bit better. And I think that's basically what they did. So I don't think it moves the needle to you have to replace your Concept 2 for a Rogue rower. Not at all. Unless you're like unless you really really need the collapsing function of it because now it just collapses with a lever pull and it folds in half versus standing all the way up for depending on your stealing height, which I guess technically I never even thought about this, but the Concept 2 is really easy to break apart, so you can just break it apart every time you use it or
Yeah,
not. But that's about it. I mean, your turf tires you're not going to use all that much. Turf tires are always great to put on, and I mentioned this with the Fringe Raptor, my air bike. I love the turf tires. I haven't used them like once or well, maybe once or twice this whole year, so it's not like a huge deal to have. They're just great for when you do need them. So it's a lot of little stuff. There's a phone clamp that's just built in. They kind of did what they kind of did to the rower toward Concept 2 what Fringe did to the Echo bike.
right, yeah.
They just took the same sort of heavy duty quality, made a few little add-on perks, and that's about it. I think price tag is apparently lower than Concept 2 as well, but really you're only getting it if you don't have a rower. If you're on the edge of a rower and you're wanting to get one, that's kind of the main deal.
Dude, I'm pretty interested in this strength erg. Like,
Yeah, right.
I mean, so I'm just watching I'm on the Concept 2 website and I'm like watching it's just a video that's like looping, but looks like you can
Yeah,
do like a row. Yeah, you can do like I guess that'd be like a seated bench press type exercise.
yeah.
You can do leg press. That might be it. I'm sure you could get creative and find some other things, but let's see. It's going to be 1350
Without the monitor.
without a monitor. I don't. Why would you not? I guess I don't know. With a strength erg, maybe you don't need it. $1,500 with the monitor. It says it has been tested to over 1,500 pounds of force. I'd be interested to know what they mean by that.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
because I know they're not talking about like 1,500 pounds, like
Yeah, yeah.
who can. Well, I guess leg press. You can do a ton of weight typically. I would really like to use one of these before I just bought it for 1,500 bucks. That's my
Right.
take. Maybe I can go to like a hotel that buys one early on or something because I don't know where I'm going to see these. CrossFit gyms aren't going to use them, you know.
No,
So that's pretty interesting. I definitely will check that one out because that's one thing.
it
Like,
would.
I don't want a bunch of equipment in my house, but like just with training with my boys and my wife, like they want some of this kind of stuff, you know, like they don't want to just do barbells and kettlebells like I do, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't want to buy 15 isolation machines and take up all the space and also spend $15,000, you know, so like machines like this have piqued my interest mainly for my family and their fitness. So yeah, definitely interested in that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
this feels like a Globo Gym type piece of equipment because a lot of the masses of people that are just working out casually or just want to do a little bit will be able to use it because it's not using a bunch of weight, and it is still, of resistance depending on how much resistance you get. So I do think it'll be for the masses toward that regard. Um, Home gyms probably weren't going to see it much because it has probably the biggest footprint. I don't know if there was anything that has a collapsing on that. I know most of their things
Yeah.
they make it so that they can sort of have a small footprint, but this one looks like it's pretty big.
I'm just a huge Concept2 fan. All right, so like they have 3 machines. I own all 3 machines. This is their 4th machine. It seems like I just have to buy it, right? It's like
Yeah,
I just have to. It's got wheels. It looks like it can tilt up, in all honesty. It does. It looks like it can
they should
tilt up
have
like the rower.
they should have made tried to figure out a way to make a sled with their fan contraption.
Mm, like a standing in place sled? Like a
I don't
treadmill
know.
sled? Yeah, I don't know. That's for
Yeah,
them to figure out.
that's for them to figure out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Or like,
awesome.
yeah, so something. I'm sure you could probably, or even, somebody could probably, an engineer could figure out some way to do it that, or like some sort of way to push it. Maybe jump against some sort of resistance, some air resistance. Like, what if you take your ski erg, but flip it upside down and hold the handles and then jump?
That would be something.
That'd be rough. That'd be
That's like
rough.
those are the kind of things you see people do in a Globo gym and, like, why I don't go
Yeah,
back.
you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, that person does not know what
Yeah,
they're
I'm
doing. They're
outta
gonna hurt
here.
themselves.
Uh, um, well, that's awesome. You got anything else going on, man? What else is going on in life for training?
Uh, Nothing at all. It's perfect running weather now here in Spain. Not that it doesn't always be good running weather. Uh, I'm trying out some new running shoes, but they're pretty much the same brand. Just trying out some speed ones. I'm going from. So I
Just
was running
Ultra? Or
in
I use Ultra. What do you use?
Brooks.
Brooks,
Brooks.
okay.
So I was getting these. Their Brooks Ghost 15 or whatever, and they're just good all around running shoes for running. But I think it's more for runners, a running shoe for
Mhm.
runners. So it's still fairly low drop. Um, but the ones that I got are for speed, the Brooks ones, and they're super light. And considering I don't put a ton of miles on, like we're talking, the most I'll run in a week is 10 miles. I'll have like 2 run days, and
Yeah.
those 2 run days might reach five each. And so like I'm not putting a ton of miles on. So normally one of those days is our faster intervals. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get these shoes, the speed ones, because I want to try them out. And they were like $50 cheaper than the ghost ones. And they were all on, it was on a higher recommended rated for Brooks, and it's still Brooks. So pretty excited to try those. I just have to wear out my current ones. I don't, and it's always hard to know when to change your running shoes to me. Like, yeah, some parts of it start to bald a little bit. And Garmin, if you hook it up right, it's like when you first get them,
Yeah.
it'll track your miles, how many are on the shoes. I guess I didn't do that this one in time, so that's not all that accurate. But the last like 2 weeks on my runs, my adductors have been really sore. And I
Mm.
don't know and I feel like I haven't been wearing my shoes for long enough for it to be the cause of the shoes. But it's just one of those things like, oh well, I just got this new pair, so should I just switch?
Yeah, I never really know when to get new shoes. I just kind of like go by feel. I'm like, yeah, it's been sometimes it's like 6 months, like sometimes it's a year. Depends on how much mileage I'm putting in. But I said I wear ultras, but I actually switched. I don't know if we talked about this. I switched to GoRuck's Rough Runners. Um,
Hmm. I know you love their training shoes.
yeah, I like their training shoes. I like their boots. And then I was like, well, why not try out their Rough Runners? And the first time I ran in them, they kind of hurt my feet. Um, but then like I kept up with it. I was like, whatever, maybe just a switch. And now I'm kind of exclusively training in the Rough Runners, primarily because we do so much. We don't just run, like, we do so many other things, right? That's I like their training shoes, but their training shoes are more like a CrossFit type shoe where it's like it's good for, like, cross training in a gym, but not running. That's kinda how their training shoe is.
Yep.
Their running shoe is almost a blend of, like, a cross training shoe and a running shoe. It's more running shoe, but it has some lateral stability, which is my biggest problem with, like, almost any running shoe, and that's probably the same with Brooks or Ultra. They are made for going in a straight line. Anything else, they suck. Like you try to
Hmm.
pivot, turn, whatever. It just they suck. No lateral stability, and they do that because they're trying to keep the shoe as light as possible. But the Rough Runner, it has a lot of that lateral stability, um, and it's not a zero drop, but that hasn't bothered me at all. If anything, it's probably more helpful. So yeah, those have been great. I'm on my first pair. I've actually probably about to wear out my first pair, so I'm gonna get a second pair, I think, and I don't know if I'll go back to ultra unless I start putting in like a lot of serious running mileage again. Because I've really been enjoying their shoes, the Rough Runners. They don't look great though. They look,
Mm,
in Emily's word, like grandpa ish. So
mm.
I'm not trying to wear them out of the house for style points though. They're really just for training.
Brooks actually look pretty cool. That's why, and they have a ton of different
Yeah,
colors. So that was a point in my book.
yeah. You
I
gotta
only
look good
wear
running
my
around the
running
neighborhood.
shoes. Yeah, yeah for all 5 people that might see me. Um,
Right.
I only wear my running shoes when I run. I have training shoes when I train. I usually don't mix the two.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Like ultras for running, and then Go Ruck trainers for training in the gym, and then now I'm just kind of doing the Go Ruck Rough Runners for both. Because I'm not barbell lifting as much. Like most everything I'm doing is like kettlebell stuff, and it's been fine.
Yeah,
But
I
other than
I
that,
probably have
I
too many
think
training shoes.
the only other thing I'm experimenting with now is um, I am about to dive into this. Uh, what is it called? Keto glucose keto monitor, something like that. They're
So
like 40,
you
50
still wearing
bucks.
your one thing, or
No, I'm
you're
not
getting
wearing
a
that
new one?
anymore. Um, this is like a finger prick, but it helps you. It's a finger prick, but you're taking 2 samples. So the first sample is a glucose sample, and then the second one is a ketone sample. And then it gives you this this rating or algorithm or however they do it to see how much your glucose and ketones are in alignment. And as you know, I've been experimenting a lot with my blood sugar over the last year or so. Yeah, I wore the this continuous glucose monitor. But I've been looking into some of this research on like, you know, the use of energy, metabolic systems, like how our bodies are like utilizing glucose and the importance of ketones and all these things. I've like hovered around in this field for a while, but now I'm like going down that path now. Is like it's the relationship between your ketones and your glucose, your blood sugar. And so that's kind of the next thing I'm probably going to end out the year with is like experimenting with getting uh, within a healthy range. And to be honest, I'm just at the start of this. I don't know what that is for me. I don't necessarily want to be in ketosis. Um, but previously, and when I felt the best and sharpest, like mentally, is when I was fasting and I would be in ketosis in the morning and then I would bump out of ketosis in the afternoon when I would be eating food, blah, 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 and then training, all that kind of stuff. I ignored all that stuff. I mean, for the last several years, I've been like, who cares? I fast sometimes. I don't fast sometimes. I haven't been strict with it. I eat carbs. Like I haven't really. I'm always kind of moderate carb. Try not to go too high on that spectrum. But I think I'm going to start bumping it back down and start looking at my blood in that regard and see if I can get within one of these healthier ranges. And really, as I mentioned, this is all for like cognitive performance to see how I feel on that side of things with experimenting with my diet, playing with my blood and glucose and ketones, and seeing where things end up. So that's kind of what I'm working on the next couple months. I'll update people probably in these podcasts, these like once a month you and I podcasts as I like kind of dive into that stuff. But this was a very inexpensive purchase. The meter, if you're interested in like going down this route, it's called Keto Mojo, and they're like $50 on Amazon. So
Hmm.
fairly inexpensive. I'm sure the testing strips get more expensive. That's typically where these things get expensive, or like the recurring having to buy all these strips. But I'll probably only do it for like a 30, 45 days or something like that, just to kind of find out what I need to do, what adjustments I need to make, and then like macros check in every once in a while to see if I'm maintaining what I want to. So yeah, that's kind of the next thing I'm testing.
Yeah, curious to hear how that goes and what I mean, really, what it even means to because usually you will test for one or the other, not both, and the correlation. So
And that's why I'm so interested in it, because it's like, okay, I know how to control my glucose basically by what I'm eating, and that's what I learned with a CGM. But I do think ketones are, I don't want to be in ketosis though. Like, but your body, like I said, you can still produce ketones without being in like full on ketosis all the time and eating 6 grams of carbohydrates a day. Like there's a blend here. And I want to experiment to try and get back to that level, because that's honestly where I felt best. And I'm not saying that that's the best for the human being or everyone out there. But I've just experimented with so many things over last decade plus, and I just kind of, I always revisit that, like that time period as like, you know what, that was when I felt the best. It's always like when I was on the lowest amount of carbohydrates is when I felt the best, because my training's been about the same. Like I haven't changed training all that much like over the years. Like training volume's been about the same. How many hours per week, how many sessions per week, all that's kind of been the same. The only thing that I've played around with and changed drastically over the years is the change in diet. Even if it's not food specific change in diet, it's like the macronutrient breakdown of the foods that I eat. That's what I've experimented with the most.
yeah, I don't know if I have a definitive answer for which way I lean for carbs, fat. Usually lower carb, higher fat, but not like I don't think there's like a huge noticeable difference. I'd have to like really do I have to really note when I'm doing it and like do a drastic one side or the other to see if I really notice much. But I don't know if I really have noticed a whole lot.
Yeah. And I think, I'll let you know how this goes, but it could be maybe you haven't been in like the ketone production zone. Like maybe that's it. Or, maybe that's something you would feel a difference, or maybe not. I have no idea. That's why I think everything's so individualized. Everybody's got to do their own experiments. But yeah, I think I'll update everybody on that. I've just been doing the research right now, and it's pretty cool stuff. And the reason I like this stuff so much is because it starts to blend the medical field, like the deep levels of like needing to be a medical doctor to understand, and energy systems. And I'm on the energy systems, not medical doctor, obviously side, like just having a deep understanding of energy systems from a strength and conditioning background. But then it's like it gets into this medical world, and I'm seeing those starting to marry up in like a lot of different realms, between how the medical field is starting to understand metabolic diseases, metabolic issues, mitochondria, the utilization of energy, all these kind of things. That's where the medical field's headed. And I'm like, yeah, we've already been figuring that stuff out over here on the training side. I'd love to like see, what happens when all this like gets together. And I think that's a big direction the health and fitness world is moving in general. It might take 5, 10 years to get there, but I think that's where we're headed right now, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be pretty big.
All right, cool. Well, let's wrap it up here. Everyone listening, thanks for sticking around with the updates and the feedback we've gotten on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. So if you have made it this far, I probably should have started with this, but these will be probably about once a month. Joe and I hopping on, just giving you generalized updates of our lives and our training, things that we're looking at, and those kind of updates. Other than that, the 2 podcasts per week that I produce, hitting a singular topic is what we will continue on. So for all of our garage gym athletes out there listening, we really appreciate you. And if you want to become a garage gym athlete, you can head over to garagegymathlete.com and sign up for a free trial. And we'd love to have you. But that's it. Remember, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you.